I have worked out on average 5 or more days per week for the last 10 years. Alright guys, so I know what a lot of you guys are thinking. How is it possible to be that consistent? Gosh, Clay, you're so cool. So I just want to clear that up and say, again, it is an average of 5 days per week over the last 10 years. And as you'll see, as I dive into my story, you'll probably figure out why I've been that consistent with it. But again, that means if you divided the total number of workouts over the past 10 years, it would be on average 5 or more per week. So yes, if I did get sick one day and miss a workout, I always make it up the following week, so I just want to make sure you guys know that before we dive in. Also guys, my general style of training is probably considered strength and conditioning. My athletic background is in football, so that's generally the type of lifting that we did. But you know, weightlifting, bodybuilding, those type of things, I consider my workouts. And I've more recently been getting into running, so we might touch on that as well. Okay, so now that everything is cleared up, this video is about what I've learned from the past 10 years of working out at least 5 days per week. Before we dive in, we gotta answer the question, how does somebody become the type of person that actually works out 5 days consistently every single week? Let's dive in. So growing up, I come from a very active household. From my dad being a special agent to my older brother being in sports and always pestering me and being super competitive, I was pretty much from a very young age geared toward the active lifestyle. I've essentially played every single sport imaginable growing up. Soccer, baseball, basketball, hockey, lacrosse, track, football, healthy amount of foosball and ping pong in there as well. And that was kind of my leeway into lifting weights and working out. By the time I reached middle school, I was a prodigy. Just kidding. I always noticed in the weight room whenever I weighed in for football or anything, I was actually significantly smaller and skinnier and weighed a lot less than the other guys. And my middle school football team, we ended up going on to win 2 total games between my 7th and 8th grade year. And actually we were so good that our coach actually quit on us in 8th grade only to come back and keep coaching the year after we graduated. Anyways, as I approached high school, my dad took the initiative and started to force me to lift weights because he knew that once I was in high school I had to do that for football anyway. I hated it. Every single lift felt extremely hard. I felt like I was never progressing in weights, and honestly I was only doing it just because my dad was making me do it, and I knew at the time I was going into high school, so I was gonna have to do it there. So as time went on, I noticed myself in high school in the beginning stages really just trying to get by through the workouts, you know, skipping some reps here and there and trying to kind of dodge the coaches and work out in groups that maybe weren't pushing themselves that hard. As time went on, I realized that my lack of effort was not only stopping me from getting any results in the weight room, but it was also stopping me from getting playing time. I wasn't getting any bigger or stronger. And honestly, it was still hard. It was still difficult to go on and put in my half-ass effort into the workouts and into the weight room, but I was getting no results out of it. I was honestly just stuck being average. Growing up as a kid, I think I excelled in certain areas like sports, but by the point of high school, the competition had gotten so much tougher that I needed to start putting in effort to actually see any results. The way I saw it, there were 2 options. Option 1, stop with all the upkeep, stop with all the effort, and just sink completely below average and become mediocre in whatever I was doing. Or option number 2, go beyond doing the 90% that everybody does, go all out, give myself fully to all the tasks that I was doing, and ultimately go and see what it was like to be beyond just being average. That is the exact moment that everything clicked for me. Now I realized that going above average effort in everything I do was by no means going to give me a guarantee of getting above average results. For me, the principle of giving full effort 100% in everything that I do started in the weight room. That's why I'm making this video. It was the one spot that I could objectively see the results in the mirror, on the scale, and throughout the weights. By my junior year, I was finally starting to see the fruits of the labor that I was putting in. I was starting to gain size, strength, speed. My coaches and friends were noticing. I was becoming more confident, and I was finally starting to see the results of all the hard work that I was putting in. The one clear thing that changed inside of me was that I was now personally involved in my own development. There was no coach, no father, no friend that had to push me to go and do a workout. I was heavily invested in my own self-development, and that's truly the step that you need to get to in order to be somebody that starts to work out consistently 5 or more days per week. This shifted my entire mindset because once I saw the result, it no longer made any sense to me why anyone in the world would put in 90% effort and be okay with just being average. My workout journey did not end there though. And ultimately I ended up conquering a ton of new athletic feats in college. I ended up crushing tons of personal records in the gym each year. I was a finalist at Ohio State's fastest student race. I jumped out of an airplane for the first time doing a solo skydive with nobody attached. And I competed on American Ninja Warrior College Edition. And then I went on to walk on to the Ohio State football team where I became a Big Ten championship at the best football team in the country. Go Bucks. Now, all of these came with tons of trials and tribulations, but none of these would have been even remotely possible had it not been for me learning to be ultra consistent and disciplined in what I was doing and giving 100% effort. And it's all started with me working out consistently. All right, so since graduating college over the past 2 years, I have competed on American Ninja Warrior again. I failed again on that attempt. I have tried Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, been experimenting with some endurance training and long distance running, and overall I've been keeping my training pretty much in a wide variety of different areas because I do not know what my next big challenge or event is gonna be. The talks are that we may be potentially doing a 100-mile run here in the next month. All right, so done with all the background. Fast forward to today. What have I learned? What are the top 3 things I've learned from working out consistently 5 or more days per week for the past 10 years? So number 1 is going to be self-respect and self-confidence. So we've all probably heard the mantra before, discipline equals freedom, and that is extremely true in this case. If you consistently keep the promises that you've made to yourself, for example, working out every single day, consistently 5 days per week, even when you don't want to, you will start to have that self-respect and self-confidence leak into the other areas of your life. So think about it this way. You know you can handle pain now, you can handle tough situations, you have more mental clarity, and overall your body is in a lot better shape, which means it's gonna give you a boost as well in your performance in all areas. All right, number 2 is going to be learning to create your reality and identity. So by working out consistently and constantly challenging yourself in new ways, you're actually going to be able to create a totally new identity based on whatever goal you're trying to achieve. For example, if you're trying to run a marathon, well, you might label yourself as a runner. If you're trying to play football, you might label yourself as a football player. So now by actually specifically choosing that identity, you can create standards around what it means to embody that specific identity. Egos, identities, and standards are all extremely useful when trying to achieve something in the external world because they allow us to identify with a very specific thing, and that way we know where to prioritize putting our energy so that we can actually live up to those standards and achieve that specific identity. In order to do this properly, I have found personally that you need to have very clear intentions, clear goals, and clearly define who you actually need to become in order to live up to those specific standards. So there's actually been studies and tons of high performers from the likes of Kobe, Serena Williams, George St. Pierre, Beyonce, any type of performer at the highest level typically uses some form of alter ego in order to perform at those highest levels. So this can actually be done as a practice. You guys can practice this while you're working out. This is a skill that you can get better at when trying to add layers to your identity and become the type of person that achieves things at the highest level and performs at the highest level. From a spiritual standpoint as well, a lot of spiritual teachers say that a mask is only ugly if you cannot take it off. And what they mean is they're trying to break people free of the illusion of the ego and let them understand that they are not separate from the wholeness or the oneness of the universe. From my understanding, the more you are able to actually understand this principle and separate yourself from your ego, the better you are able to kind of change your masks and your identities and actually become the type of person you need to be in order to achieve your goals. All right, number 3, the third thing I've learned from working out this consistently for this long has been the law of compounding interest. So usually when people hear this, they think of money. Compounding interest in that sense is the addition of interest to the principal sum of a loan or deposit, or in other words, interest on top of interest, or in other words, how to get rich. However, here's the catch. The principles of this specific law can be found through any action you take in life overall, not just applied to money. So this is why Einstein was quoted saying that compounding interest is the 8th wonder of the world. It is seriously that important, and I'm about to explain why. When you look at a graph of compounding interest, you basically see that as time goes on, results grow exponentially. So at first you see all this action being taken, or all of the investments being made, and nothing happens. Then all of a sudden one day those consistent actions start to snowball and the results become insane. This is also exactly what happens when you work out. Most people fail to remember any action they took more than a few days ago. They then become confused, distraught, or delighted when they reap the rewards or the repercussions of those results months down the line. So if you eat healthy, you work super hard, you give 100% effort, and you do all of that for just 1 week, you typically aren't gonna see the results from that week of work or the progress from that week of work till several weeks down the line. And the problem is most people forget how hard they worked during that week, so they have no recollection of where these results are coming from, and they can't tie it back to the actions that they took. This is why some people are deemed as lucky or overnight successes, when in reality they had put in years and years and years of work before that tipping point hits of compounding interest. In reality, every single action that you take has a natural consequence, and the timeline of when those actions will actually play out can vary vastly, as well as be compounded onto other actions that you take. Through working out for 10+ years now, I've been able to see that my body lags behind significantly from the work that I do on it week in and week out. So if I eat like crap for 1 week, no big deal it seems like. Then I wonder a few weeks later down the line why I'm not making the progress that I was previously. So this applies to your diet, your workouts, your sleep, your recovery, and honestly any action that you take has the same effect. Now this doesn't mean that you need to be paranoid and never enjoy your life or ever have a cheat day. It's just really good to be conscious of this law and how to use it to your advantage, because it works in both directions, whether it's a positive action or a negative action. I like to think of it as a game that is never ending. That's the easiest way for me to wrap my head around it, and to consistently take positive actions. So by thinking of this as a game, it means that I'm never looking for a finish line. And this is extremely important, because if I'm looking to work out just to get 6-pack abs and stop, or to reach a certain level of health and fitness and then stop, ultimately I'm going to fall back into old habits, start taking actions that are potentially negative and are gonna bring me backwards, and ultimately hurt in that compounding interest effect. So instead, I prefer to create a system of living where I can actually enjoy the process, enjoy working out, and pretend like it's part of a game that I just have to consistently do until the very end of the game, which is when I die. And by doing this, it makes compounding interest my best friend instead of my enemy. Alright guys, so those are my deepest lessons I have learned from working out for 10+ years consistently now. I hope to share more as my journey continues, and hopefully I've inspired some of you guys on your workout journeys as well. Keep getting after it, get in the gym, make it fun, create a system that you can go in there and actually enjoy doing on a day-to-day basis, and set new goals and try new challenges. That's the best way to keep it fresh and keep it fun. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. As always, I'm looking for new challenges, so drop them in the comments below. Let me know what you guys want to see next. I am thinking it's gonna be a 100-mile run. That's what we have signed up for currently for next month. So if you guys have anything else, let us know below. We're happy to try it out, me and my friends. Please, if you enjoyed the video, drop a like. It helps us out. The YouTube gods will bless us. If you guys did not enjoy the video, just hit the dislike button twice and we will be all good. And make sure you guys subscribe and turn notification bells on. We are past 1,000 subscribers, so we're pretty much on our way to 1 million. We will see you guys next time. Thank you for watching. Peace.